All right, punters, we're back with a pre-race preview of Attrition's fourth start. Attrition is entered into a benchmark 64 race at Geelong on Sunday. It's a 1400 metre race, so we're keeping him at the 1400, and he's drawn barrier 2. We keep Australia's best jockey on board, Jared Fryer, which we're happy about. There's a horse in the race called Legionnaire, and Legionnaire usually will go forward and push a pretty hard tempo, which I think will suit us coming out of barrier 2. I think he could string the field out a little bit, and I think there's a couple drawn out wider who might want to go forward. We're hoping that there's a bit of a battle for the lead, and the tempo is high, which might mean that there might be room if the field strings out a little bit for Attrition to just settle a couple of pairs back, ideally off the rail, and just bide his time, and then when they turn for the home corner, he can kind of pull out and let down. But yeah, I think Legionnaire being in the race is a benefit. I think it'll go forward. I think it'll push a pretty hot tempo, and I would be looking for Attrition to come from midfield, no worse than midfield, and hopefully run over the top of them. Coming out of the maiden was pretty impressive. We're hoping he can frank the form. Don't want him to get beat, because it'll be a bit of a letdown for us, because we're all on a high and we think that he's the wonder horse. We think he's the next Winks at this stage. So if he gets beaten at benchmark 64, we'll all come crashing down to earth pretty quick. They've opened him up $2, which I think is fairly good, and he was quickly backed into $1.80. Yeah, I think the main danger in the race is a horse called Kaliua Falls. I think that's the second best horse in the race, and I'm hoping we're just better than him. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. Hopefully he can frank the form of his maiden and we get another victory and move on to bigger and better things. Hopefully some 3-year-old stakes racing, but he's got to put his hand up on the day and show that he is a real racehorse and he can repeat these performances. So wish him luck. I'll be out at Geelong, and I'll be back with a post-race review after the race.
Attrition in the Halo racing jacket runs the red hot tomato sauce job, and he jumped in about 5th position when the gates opened. Legionnaire won the start. Paint Me Red vested investment going forward on the outside, or vested interest. A length and a half away on the fence is Stelvio. Attrition outside of him. 2 lengths further back is Always Happy. They're being followed by Wailua Falls in the centre and on the fence Review. A length further back is Rutherford, who's dropped out to the tail with Arturo. Legionnaire the front runner. Paint Me Red second, and vested interest running third, 2 away. Stelvio a length back to Attrition. Speed's good here. 2 lengths away back in the field is Always Happy. They're being followed by Review, Wailua Falls. Then came Rutherford and Arturo. In in a strung out field as they race to the 600 metre marker. Legionnaire, Paint Me Red, 2 in front. Vested Interest running third, a length and a half away now, closing up from Stelvio. Attrition about 2.5 lengths away in the field, and he's just niggled out a little bit. He's starting to make up his ground now. The leaders have gone along a fair bit. Always Happy Oliver tries to stay with him, and Wailua falls best to the rest as Attrition now comes to the outside. He's about to pounce on top of the leaders. He's got them covered. He raced up on the outside and he's hit the front now. Wailua falls, his stablemate running on, also Always Happy, but Attrition's coming away, and he's a pretty nice horse, this bloke. He's sprinting clear the last little bit, hands and heels. He poses for the picture, Jared Fry, and he's city bound, wins it well. Second, Always Happy, a nose in front of Wailua Falls, but I could be wrong. They were followed by Arturo, Rutherford behind those, Stelvio, Vested Interest. Then came Legionnaire. Those leaders got along. Paint Me Red and Review last in.
Well, Jared, congratulations on the win there with Attrition. What was the debrief just then with Mitch?
I just said to Mitch, horse didn't really love the track conditions, but cream always rises to the top.
Didn't love the conditions, but he certainly still showed a dynamic turn of foot and did that really easily.
Yeah, he did. Sort of from the last start, just from the gate, we had to sort of take a medicine and go back, but today he sort of bounced nice and travelled really well off pretty genuine speed, and just want to sort of ask him to come into the race. I just had to help him, sort of could just feel the wheels spinning a little bit on the track, so I just had to cuddle him along and help him through, but he's still quickened down really well, but he's a class animal.
You're 2 from 2 on him, the only jockey to win a board. What do you think's the key to this horse and what makes him so special?
Oh, he's just got a really dynamic turn of foot. Like, he probably didn't give me the same feel today as he did last start, but that's more due to the track conditions than anything else. But when I let rip at Sandown, it gives you the feel of a top-class animal.
Really exciting times ahead. Well done.
Thanks.
All right, punters, we're back. I've got a post-race review of Attrition's 4th start at Geelong in a benchmark 64. So I took the kids and the missus out to Geelong today to watch Attrition. There was good facilities on course at Geelong. We could kind of sit down at a table, and there was an area where you had a bar, some bookies, a kiosk, and so you could get some food for the kids. So that was really good. Nice, relaxing day with the family. Attrition was backed. Initially opened at $2. In the morning, he was backed into $1.85, and then by race time, he'd been backed into $1.45. So that kind of increased the nerves a little bit. You know, it's pretty hard to watch your horse go around at $1.45 because basically everyone there's expecting him to win, and it feels like anything less than that is going to be a negative. So that kind of put us on edge a little bit. The money coming for him, but at the end of the day, it also gives us a little bit of confidence that people were kind of seeing what we were seeing and thought that he was going to get the job done. We got a bit of rain on the day. It was only light rain, but the track got downgraded to a soft 5, which we were a little bit nervous about. He doesn't really like heavy ground. He seems to handle soft, and he ran a decent time in Adelaide on a soft, but he had a start on the heavy at Sandown and wasn't a big fan of it. So got a little bit nervous, and then there was word coming out that towards our race, the inside rail had started to chop up a bit and was probably worse than a soft 5. So it increased the nerves again. But obviously backing him to be the better horse on the day and get the job done. So yeah, the race went basically the way that we thought it would. So Legionnaire jumped out pretty handy, and a couple tried to go with him up front, and he kind of pushed a pretty hot tempo. So there was about 4 horses in front of us that kind of sat up on pace, and as the race started to run on, they strung the field out a little bit, and Attrition had a little bit of a gap in front of him. So we were pretty happy that that we didn't think we were going to get boxed in, and we thought the tempo from Legionnaire would probably help us because we could sit off the pace and kind of wait for him to run out of legs and run over the top of him. So had a little bit of a flat spot when he hit the home turn. You could see Jared Fry kind of tried to click him up, and he obviously wasn't liking that inferior ground on the inside near the rail. So got a little bit nervous for a split second. It was kind of heart and mouth kind of stuff. And then Jared obviously picked it up and kind of steered him gently off the rail. And then once he kind of got out into clear air, he kind of just let rip down the straight, and like, to be honest, he looked like he walked in. He was he just tore off on him. So in the end, he spaced him by about 4 lengths, and it was a pretty impressive win. You could kind of tell that he was going to win from the top of the straight, so it was an easy watch for everyone on course. Yeah, so straight after the race, we made our way back down to the mounting yard for some photos and tried to get our heads on racing.com. Interviewed the trainer and the jockey, and then back into the winning owners room for a couple of beverages and to kind of bask in the glory of what he'd just done. So yeah, really positive day, great fun out at Geelong. Went there with a lot of expectation, and he ticked that box. So I think he's putting his hand up now to go to some 3-year-old stakes racing. We've kind of got 2 options that we're looking at. We've got the Group 2 Autumn Stakes at Sandown in 2 weeks' time, and then we've got the CS Hayes at Flemington in 3 weeks' time. So both of those races are fantastic races, and you know, our first time to a proper city meeting, and it's in a group race. So I'm pinching myself a little bit. And then if he runs well in either of those races, he could be off to an Australian Guineas, which would just be is mind-blowing at this stage and just an absolute dream come true. So it'd make it all worth it if he could get to an Australian Guineas and at least run in the field. You know, I'd just be absolutely beside myself if that happened. But he's got a bit of work to do to be able to put his hand up to say that I belong there with the big boys. So yeah, we'll just see what we do and how the fields come up. I've got a feeling that the Autumn Stakes might come up a little bit weaker than the CSAs, even though it's, you know, a Group 2 and more prize money. I think a lot of the Guineas horses are going to aim at that CSA, so as a kick-off point. So I think there'd be a couple of handy ones we could bump into in the CSAs, but at the end of the day, we need to find out where he fits into the pecking order. And I think the CS Hayes is going to give us a bit of an idea on where he fits in. So yeah, that was Attrition's 4th start. Attrition won in prize money for my 1.5% about $250, which takes the total of Attrition's cost up to minus 3,200.